Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we're talking about why you should never talk to girls. Well, not really, but I wanted to dive into the idea of, I think a lot of people talk about this. They talk about monk mode. They talk about self-exile almost, from the world, and becoming an introvert by forcing yourself to become an introvert. And then there's the opposite of that, which is networking and chasing girls, you know what I mean? And I wanted to talk specifically about not necessarily just networking or just extroverts and introverted. I wanted to bring women into this because it has there's this sort of lust to it, obviously. It says it in the Bible. It's something I really agree with in the Bible, where how lust can kill you and turn you into this person that's terrifying, that no one wants to become. You know what I mean? And so basically how it affected me, I remember, especially when I was a young kid, hookup culture was all around me. Everybody I knew, every friend I had wanted to or aspired to hook up with all the girls, or they actually did do that. And it wasn't something I was not interested in. You know what I mean? I was very interested in it, and it kind of threw me off for a couple of years, which is weird because I am very young, but still a couple of years of my life, it kind of took a couple of years of my life, it feels like, where I kind of just veered off the track. When I was 11 years old, I was very into music, and I had my guitar, and I was doing what I was doing. If I would have kept going down that route, that would have been awesome. Around 13-ish, I just veered off, and it wasn't necessarily that now I hit puberty. It's like, no, it was now I started to realize hookup culture. That was my difference, at least then. And I don't know if you guys relate to it at a similar age, but like I said, so much time wasted. You know what I mean? There was this one girl specifically I remember who I had already had my first crush. I'd already been friend zoned, I think. Like, I was already been through it. I must have been like 13 or 14, and I decided, all right, well, there's this one girl that it's time to just let go and just do it. You know what I mean? Just do it. Go for the kiss. Go for something. You know what I mean? And even a number. And I had tried even just talking and saying something, being remotely flirty and not being the guy that was all tied up. You know what I mean? You can tell the difference between someone who's introverted and extroverted. I wanted to become more extroverted, become someone who had this almost vengeance. That's who I really became. Someone who had vengeance against women because I had been hurt when I was even younger than that. Isn't that weird? Isn't that odd? And I see it a lot nowadays. And I don't necessarily know if that's where every video I see or every idea that comes out on the internet is this, but what I see a lot from the masculine communities are a lot of vengeance. You know what I mean? It's not coming from a loving place. You're not coming from a very happy place or a godly place. It's coming from what I feel, honestly, through a lot of these videos, through anger. You know what I mean? And wrath. And that's what leads us, or led me, back into lust. In this vicious cycle that I didn't even want to be in. And like I said, I already had it going. Like, I was doing everything I thought I should be doing at about 11 years old. I thought I was doing great, and I really was. I do think now, retrospectively, think that I was on the right track and impressive for my age. You know what I mean? But something had clicked. Something had changed me that made me, that trauma that I had from other girls or things like that, and not necessarily trauma, I feel like that's an overused word, but it is true. Something just clicked, and now my masculinity, my sheer girth just went into, all my energy just went into trying to hook up with girls. And did I succeed? Well, I'm going to be honest, I don't think there really is any succeeding in hookup culture. I mean, it's not really a hot take, right? There's no winning. Everyone loses. Both parties lose. Because it's short-term pleasure. Short-term pleasure, that means in the long term, there's going to be losers. You won for a short term. Who wants that? You know what I mean? No one consciously wants that, I don't think. I don't think people consciously look at that and say, well, this seems like the most logical solution. This is something I would want. But when you put it in context, right? Urges don't care about what I want. At least my urges really didn't. You know, now I wake up every day. You know what I mean? I woke up today feeling the feeling of not wanting to go to work, not wanting to do the things that I have to do. And I would have much rather partied today. I would have much rather hang out with friends. I didn't, though. You know, and not to say I'm this hero, but I didn't, and you should feel ashamed. It's not that. What it is if you don't hang out with friends, if you don't talk to girls, if you instead exile yourself and put yourself in one position, do you think the outcome in the long term would be better? Do you think you'd be a better person? Do you think if you met someone like that, you would say, that's a good person? If so, then that changes your perspective. It changed mine. That made me think, well, okay, then all this pain I'm feeling is just short-term. Short-term pain, there can be a winner because the pain is only short-term. You can win after the pain, but short-term pleasure, it feels like I'm abusing somebody. And that's really what it felt like, or they were abusing me. It's not really a healthy relationship, especially for young kids. It's not really a healthy relationship, and I think it's getting promoted more than ever now. Really, I do believe that it's getting promoted more than ever. Not necessarily to say that kids right now are having the most sex, or young adults are having the most sex. It's not true, but it is to say that it's the most sexualized culture, I think, in America. Americans' history, probably America's history. I think social media inevitably enforces that. Again, not saying social media is wrong. It's wrong to have a social media, or the idea is wrong. It's to say that when I look at all the facts, when I put it out on paper, a lot of it seems like a waste of time, and it doesn't seem like a coincidence that the people who are highly invested, like a stock, they spend just as much time on that as they do work. People who are highly invested and invest time in drinking, in degeneracy, really, don't necessarily get the best outcomes. I just don't think it's a coincidence. And I'm going off people I've met. I'm not saying a large statistic or that most people in general. I'm saying a lot of people I've met and I've really gotten to know who were degenerates. 0% of them were successful outside of that. They didn't get what they wanted outside of that. None of them knew what they wanted. Ironically, some of them had a vague idea, which is okay. I think that's great, having a vague idea. But when we become obsessed with that idea, when I became obsessed with my vague idea that I had, even for this podcast or different social medias I had, those vague ideas became something from hours of just brute force. That's exactly what I'm doing with this. Even this YouTube video is a vague idea of something that I want in the future. So, the question really becomes, can this ideology, the ideology of self-exile, can it hinder me? Right? This is something I wonder and think about a lot because I'm in the phase in my life where I'm in just self-exile, just going hours at a time, not even thinking about breaks or girls or anything like that, just going. And so the question becomes, can this hinder me? I do believe it can in the future. I believe it can in the future because to a certain extent, networking, I think it can be really big. I think even networking and marriage prospects, quote unquote, you know what I mean? It's a very PC way of saying that, but even women and meeting girls like that, that's not the worst idea ever. You know what I mean? It's not the dumbest idea ever. I'm not that extreme on it. But I do believe that as of right now, it's not hindering me, and it hasn't. It's only hindered some of my emotions. And because I have such a family, and I'm so grateful to have them, and I'm so fortunate in this position, really. I especially these days have not been feeling as bad as I was compared to some of the first days. I mean, you guys can watch the YouTube. First few days was rough. You know, it wasn't easy. And now looking back on day 77 of 2024, I'm saying to myself, well, this is just another day. We have to keep going. We have to keep going, and we have to keep going. And I don't even find myself thinking about the people that I used to think about, the irritations that used to be irritating aren't annoying. You know what I mean? All these things that I really do believe as of right now, it's not hindering me. And it may in the future, and that maybe when I adjust, and if it hinders my business, if it hinders this YouTube, then we adjust. But as of right now, self-exile, monk mode, has really been working for me. All right, so on that note, I'm going to end the YouTube video here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, consider watching some others. I come out with these every single day. So, I'll see you tomorrow.